I told my board, that was my concern, was like, if something happens to me, are they gonna be able to get a hold of stuff, so.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
No.
Okay. We have minutes.
Yeah, that's the safe way.
Is there,
Approve the agenda first.
oh, I thought we did. Okay. Is there support?
I don't do.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, the agenda be approved.
Days late.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we have approval of the minutes.
Move them.
Is there support? It's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved as printed. Approval of the September 11th, no, we did that. Right? Or is there 2 minutes?
Nope, you're good.
Okay,
Public comment.
okay, public comments.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I need to get a regular plug on. Hi, everybody. Rachel, Eaton Conservation District. I have to say that for the record, right? For anybody who doesn't know me. I just wanted to give you an update because it's been a few months and say hi, let you know we're out stream monitoring right now. So if you see collections of cars on the side of the road, it might be us. Stop and say hi. We were in Carmel Township yesterday. We did 2 sites with WOW. They have a volunteerism program there, so they sent a whole team of their employees to help us out, which was really nice. And it's always fun to see the volunteers who have never done this before, put the connection between, oh, I'm a fisherman, and now I'm having a better understanding of what's going on in the water that's affecting what I'm catching. So that's always really cool. Today, we're taking 3 teams out, if all of our volunteers show up, and we'll be in Vermontville Township, Eaton Rapids Township, and possibly Calamo, if everybody shows up. So watch for us if we're in your area, and looking forward, we have our photo contest happening. I know you guys are familiar with this. I talk about it every year. So if you know anybody who's a photographer, or if you yourself have some nice pictures of Eaton County, send them our way and enter the contest. And then we are also in the process of applying for 2 grants. One will help us address the lesser celandine issue that I've told you about that's on the northern part of the county along the Grand River and spreading south. It's a new invasive species to Michigan, so the DNR is really supportive. They put it on the watch list so that we can get funding to do this research and figure out how far it's spread and whether we can stop it before it takes over like it has in other states. So we're in the process of applying for that, and also another grant for the Grand River watershed. So this would be like Eaton Rapids up to Diamonddale to address the excessive E. coli that we have in the water there that's coming from failing septic systems and agricultural inputs. So that's kind of what's on our agenda for the next couple of months. If you need anything, or if you have anybody who needs anything, please feel free to refer them to us. And let me know if you have any questions. All right.
Any questions? Yes.
The invasive celandine, has that been found in Fitzgerald Park yet?
Oh, yeah, we actually treated for it last year because that was actually one of the big explosive sites.
Okay, in Lincoln also then?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Thank you. Are there any others? Okay, then we're on to construction code.
Good morning. I am here in Mr. Garrison's absence. He is at the State of Michigan Construction Code Commission regarding Windsor Township looking to do their own permitting process. So I'll just go through the report really quick and then we'll go on to the DCA. The Construction Code Board of Appeals did meet last night. This is the first time that they've met since 2019. They approved a request for the Potterville Sawmill to construct 2 storage buildings without requiring a restroom facility to go in the buildings. The restrooms are required per the 2021 Michigan Plumbing Code. The consensus of the board was that the applicant is going to be building an 80 by 100 building within the next 2 years. And if that building is not constructed where the restrooms are proposed to be in, then he'll be required to put the restrooms in one of the buildings he's building this year. So it was a great outcome for that meeting. Community outreach, we have been still working with the city of Charlotte to assist them with their zoning and permitting processes. And we met with Calamo Township regarding enforcement from building and zoning perspectives. Contractor breakfast, the invitations have gone out. We are getting a great response. Yes, Robin's Nest will be the one doing the catering. So Brian, when you return my cup, you can have a waffle sandwich. That's about it. On to the DCA. Yes.
You said that they approved the building of a sawmill, and then, but the idea is that the restrooms will show up in a couple of years. How much use of this sawmill do we think is going to be had, and what are people supposed to do in the meantime?
So this sawmill is actually located on commercial property in Benton Township. It's off from Lansing Road, between Lansing Road and I-69. And they have porta potties on the property. And the health department did approve that use in the interim. The sawmill has been operated from that property for about 30 years now, and it has always used a porta potty. They've never had a significant structure that's required plan review or building permit. Therefore, they've never been required to comply with the plumbing code until now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or concerns?
So we have the district change amendment. Would you guys like me to go through that briefly? Okay. So the zoning ordinance committee meets on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and we've been meeting regularly and consistently. This is our 5th proposed text amendment to the zoning ordinance. The goal of the zoning ordinance committee is to ensure that our zoning ordinance is in fact reasonable and meets the intended purpose of protecting the public health, safety, and welfare without making things more complicated for our property owners. The proposed changes within this text amendment are to section 5.3.19 to remove the items for a fence, dock, and fishing shanty from the definition of a structure. The reason for that is we have never required a zoning referral for a dock, a fishing shanty, or a fence. And with those items in the definition of a structure within the zoning ordinance, it adds confusion to property owners, especially for fences. In the general provisions, we are proposing a change to section 6.2.10B to allow for storage containers to be used as an accessory building on limited agricultural, commercial, and industrial properties. Currently, they're not allowed on properties unless there is active construction going on, and they have to be removed from the property within 30 days. There is a workaround that makes it quite difficult for property owners to keep storage containers. They can get engineering, which can cost them up to $3,000, to prove that the storage container meets the current building code, and then they can obtain a building permit for it. This kind of removes that requirement and allows them to remain on those properties within those zoning districts only. Proposed change to 6.2.10C to allow for a larger accessory dwelling unit. I'm sure most of the commissioners here have heard that we have a housing crisis. And we're experiencing an uptick of accessory dwelling units. Currently, your accessory dwelling units are allowed to be between 350 square feet and 720 square feet. We're finding that the families that need those accessory dwelling units are larger. It used to be that an accessory dwelling unit would be known as a mother-in-law apartment where they'd come to visit. Well, now it's the parents are trying to house their children with their grandchildren, so 720 square feet may not be large enough. We put some fail-safes within that language to allow for an attached garage. So it's up to whomever is proposing that accessory dwelling unit, whether or not that entire 1,200 square feet is living space, or if a portion of that 1,200 square feet is living space and then the attached garage. It's been approved by the health department. That's usually our one that we have the most concern with sanitary services in well. We also added that it can't be used as a rental at any time. The next change is to section 6.7, approved property divisions. We have been having some struggles with land divisions, lot line adjustments, and lot combinations. More the lot line adjustments and lot combinations for properties that are in two different zoning districts. Technologically speaking, from our GIS side and from our BS&A side, it's very hard to identify the properties on our maps for the public or within our assessing program for the public. It only allows us to put one identification, which leads to us giving misinformation to the public. A few properties that I can think of off the top of my head that are dual zoned and are not classified correctly on our maps online or in assessing. One is the co-op owned by Caledonia Farms on M50. They did a lot line adjustment. Well, part of the property is limited ag, the remainder of the property is industrial. So requiring any applicant to rezone the property they wish to have adjusted prior to getting that approval for the adjustment of the combination helps clear up any inconsistencies in the future. The next proposed changes are to Article 7, our Land Development District. A proposed change to Section 7.74A1, 7.4B1, and 7.4C1 to include the word dwelling before unit. Currently, the definitions say unit. You can have this many units within that zoning district per acre. That has led to a lot of confusion for some of our property owners. The actual definition is a dwelling unit that's already written within the zoning ordinance. So this should offer some clarity for our property owners. An additional proposed change to Section 7.4C3 to remove rental storage buildings. This is in our high-density residential zoning district. We have about 20 properties in the entire county that are zoned high-density residential, and none of them would meet the qualifications to have a rental storage business on those properties anyhow. Proposed change to Section 7.7, Table A, to reduce the minimum square footage required for a principal structure. This kind of goes in line with the housing crisis that we are currently facing. Currently, our zoning ordinance requires a 720 square foot on the ground floor home to be constructed. Reducing it to 350 square feet allows for a family to buy a 2-acre, 5-acre, 1-acre, 10-acre parcel, build a smaller home, and then plan for their larger home in the future without having to rent a house or rent an apartment. The smallest accessory dwelling unit you can have is 350 square feet. So if they were to build a 350 square feet principal structure, if they were proposed to build their actual home in the future, that existing structure would then become their accessory dwelling unit. So again, looking for creative ways to help make things easier for property owners to settle in Eaton County. Proposed change to Section 7.78, those are the footnotes behind Table 7.7A, to remove, I believe it actually says mobile homes, it's manufactured homes, as they are regulated in zoning ordinance Article 16. Sorry, it's a long one. Okay, next, Article 14, which is our specific provisions and requirement. Proposed change to Article 14.26, rental storage buildings to allow for outdoor storage. Currently, our rental storage business does not allow for outdoor storage, so no boats, no RVs, no vehicles. a lot of our surrounding areas do allow for outdoor storage with some appropriate screening or appropriate storage. The zoning ordinance committee, again, looking at how to make things easier for business owners and residents of Eaton County, thought that this was a valued change. There are some proposed parameters that would require a fence to be surrounding the area in which they propose to have the outdoor storage. The next change is proposed to section 1437, light automotive, small engine repair, and auto body repair business to allow a renter who is a licensed mechanic to operate the business. The change also proposed to allow for increased outdoor storage for vehicles within a fenced area. When this section was first put into the zoning ordinance, besides the state of Michigan requirements that we added, it was modeled after the home business section, 1413. In fact, it refers to 1413. Renters can apply for a home business. Requiring a licensed mechanic to be the property owner and the person that resides in the home does not promote business here in Eaton County. It's requiring a larger restriction for this business than what we do for our home business sections. Renters can apply to operate a home business, so the zoning ordinance committee felt that a renter could also apply as long as they were a licensed mechanic and had a licensed facility for this business on the property as well. Currently, they're only allowed to store one vehicle outside. The proposed change is to allow for up to 10 vehicles behind a fenced area.
Did you like your question now?
Yeah, if I could. Brandy, just a quick question on that. And this may not be, do we have a requirement, if you are a renter, to have any kind of a sign off from the owner of the real property, to have any kind of a business there?
Yes, we
Okay.
require the property owner to also sign the conditional use permit application.
Okay, for any business?
Correct.
Okay, I was concerned specifically about auto because obviously there could be some environmental contamination.
Oh, absolutely,
You would want
yes.
the homeowner to at least, or the property owner to at least know about that. So, okay, thank you.
You're
Appreciate
very
it.
welcome.
Let me follow up. This is in the home kind of a business. This isn't in its own commercial area.
Correct. So these businesses are operated on limited ag property.
Yep.
So, and here in the past 2 years, we've had a lot of property owners that are renters. Funny enough, they're renting from their in-laws, and they weren't able to apply.
I'm just curious, it seems like we're going in the, I mean, I've been on this board for a little bit, and I remember at one point in time, we were concerned about properties that had basically surrounded with half cars and all kinds of things in the yard and whatnot. And this seems to be, so there was an effort to clean all of that up. And now this seems to be that we're going in the other direction. We're going back to where I can basically put whatever I want on my property, and I got 6 cars I'm working on, why, 2 of them can be in the front yard.
So that would not be true. You're referring to zoning ordinance section 6.2.9, which is the definition of junk. When somebody applies for a conditional use permit, they're required to comply with that conditional use permit. This would require them to keep all vehicles that they are working on in the screened fence area. They couldn't have them in the front of their house. They couldn't have them visible. The junk section of the zoning ordinance states that you can't have it visible for any property line or right-of-way, and it has to be completely screened by a building or a fence.
Do we have any limit as to the number of vehicles they can have in the fenced area?
We do not for limited ag personal property use, no.
Okay.
The other reasoning behind the zoning ordinance committee in the larger conversation was we also allow for distressed vehicle transporters to operate in limited ag properties, and they can have up to 16 vehicles behind a solid fence. The zoning ordinance committee did not believe that 16 vehicles was needed when you're working on a vehicle, but they understood that more than one vehicle was needed, but also to protect the surrounding property owners with some screening. The last item is in Article 17. When reading through fences, so Article 17 is our buffer yard screening walls and fences. Those are mostly for commercial properties and how do we screen their businesses from residential properties, right? So when trying to be consistent, we're reading through the height requirements, and currently it states that the maximum requirement for a wall or fence shall be 6 feet. Pretty sure that's supposed to be minimum. So that's our only proposed change there. Any questions?
Yes, Brian.
Randy, I've been watching these houses that Elon Musk is producing now. And are we prepared in Eaton County for when they start to go to market and come into our area?
I don't know what houses you're referring
They're
to.
a prefab foldable house, and it's interesting, it really is. They're self-contained except for obviously plumbing and waste. And you can put them off grid, from what I understand, but I can't remember how many square feet they are, but they're expandable. They have a minimum footprint for the smallest one, and then you can add on to that, stack them, do whatever you're gonna do.
So any structure, any residential structure would have to meet the current state of Michigan residential building code. I would imagine that as long as they had sealed drawings, if it's something that's not provided for within our code book, then we would require sealed drawings. That means that wherever they purchased it from would provide them with drawings and at what standard was it built to. If it didn't meet the current state of Michigan building code, the architect or engineer would give the corrections that need to be made to have it meet state of Michigan building code. So when I think of Elon Musk and his great inventions, they're usually for South Florida. We are in the state of Michigan and we have snow loads and snow is heavy. So that I would envision that being an issue potentially with some of these structures.
Okay. My understanding is that they're 50 state compliant from what I've read, but
That would be amazing.
I know. It's interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Blake.
Thank you, Brandy. These are a lot of adjustments, and I'm sure that the ordinance committee looked them over carefully. And in principle, I really appreciate them because they look to me like they're making things easier for people. I mean, each one of these is making things more clear and less prohibitive for our residents, which is really kind of a good move because in essence, historically, sometimes your department received a lot of blowback about being too restrictive. And you were just following the rules, you know? So making the rules a little more flexible, I think, is a real positive step. And you can tell the planning commission that I said so. So,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I would just echo Blake's sentiments on as far as what, I know you're surprised, as far as two lame duck commissioners over here telling the planning commission what to do. No, I appreciate the thought of, the housing issue that we have. And so from that perspective, I think it's important. I think we've talked about before the idea of, being able to allow for these tiny house developments and units that are being built all over the country. And I think this is a step in the right direction and trying to come up with ways to address the housing crisis in this country. And I think I would love to see the Planning Commission continue to think like that going forward on what we can do locally here to help make the housing crisis not as big of a crisis here in Eaton County. So, thank you.
Their goal.
Any other questions or comments for Brandy?
I would move them.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Financial report is in your packet. If there are any questions?
No? So we're on to the DIA report.
Good morning, everyone. We just have some general updates today. Next month in November, we'll bring quite a few voting issues to the board, but for today, we're just working on some ongoing projects. We do have our SWAG, Solid Waste Alternative Grants, that went out. We did receive the grants, and we are evaluating their applications, and next month we will be bringing our recommendations to the board. And we have been working with our mobile recycling program and our grant reporting is due. We're getting ready to start our mobile electronics program for rural areas of the county, and we're continuing to work on the MMP. As for the licensing, both LeBron and Liberty, or is it? Yeah, Liberty both came into a compliance, so we will not be ticketing them, and Gil LeBron was actually here yesterday, so, yep, until next year.
Well, at least we know he knows where the place is.
Yeah. For our county projects or programs, the department is currently seeking RFPs for the 2025 collection events. Both electronics vendors and household hazardous waste contracts are up for bid. And the department, under my directorship, received our first FOIA request. So, and they were requesting our contracts and manifest for our household hazardous waste. So we're expecting to see some bidding on household hazardous waste and some competition there this year, we hope. Local projects for SWAG, we are changing our process a little bit. So this year, our department met with our SWAG applicants, Grand Ledge, Delta, Bellevue, Olivet, and Sunfield and Charlotte. And we went into just general discussions about some of the issues coming up with our MMP process and how we're going to be transitioning to a hub and spoke model and what that would look like for our SWAG centers, recycling centers, and also what the tax limitation proposal, what the effect that might have on our department and services we provide through SWAG. And also, in anticipation of the MMP and the hub and spoke model, all of our SWAG applicants will be meeting and touring Sunfield Recycling Center as our county model for what we would like some of these material recovery facilities, or as we call them, MRFs, will look like in the future, and building out future infrastructure for recycling programs in the county. Our mobile recycling program is continuing to run in Vermontville. It's gaining in popularity, and we are receiving a lot of positive feedback from the community. Several community members are grateful not to drive out to Charlotte and Sunfield in order to engage in recycling activities for essentially no cost. And so we are in talks with the city of Eaton Rapids, and we are looking to open up our next location next month in Eaton Rapids and serving the community there. We've also been in discussions with the county parks, and next month for the Pumpkin Chuck event, we will be bringing the mobile recycling trailer to the event and offering recycling for the county event with staff. And in meeting with the Parks Department, we discussed cross-training staff and making the mobile recycling trailer available for more events throughout the year for the county parks programs. While I'm talking about it, also we met with Parks, and we're looking at starting at least a PET #1 or plastic water bottle recycling program for the parks. The idea is to start small, be able to understand what volumes we're looking at, and develop some education programs around recycling in the parks. And we'll be moving forward with the director and the staff over there at the county parks. The Rural Electronics Grant, we will be purchasing another trailer, which will be conducive to our MMP, moving materials around the county and looking at how we can efficiently manage these materials with locations all around the county. So not only will we be taking in electronics and developing those programs, but the mobile trailer will also help with numerous other aspects of the departmental operations. The material management plan, we are receiving updates from Eagle. The work plan that they had posted on their website and some of the instructions that they offered counties for directions for the MMP are no longer valid, and they're looking to release new information and a new work plan at the end of October. As such, many of the deadlines they discussed are soft deadlines, and so the county is still right on track. And our next step is, as I've discussed the last couple of months, developing and establishing the Materials Management Planning Committee. We do have about 9 seats filled. We are waiting for 3 more seats to be filled, and those will likely be filled after the election in our discussions with township, village, and county officials. And the department continues to meet with DPAs from all across Michigan, discussing plans and sharing information, in addition to putting pressure on Eagle to provide the counties with more information. That's all.
Are there any questions? Yes, Blake.
The mobile trailer, I see it sitting here when I drive into the complex. Now, is there kind of a plan to make it a regular event we're talking about the townships? I mean, so the residents know that every third Saturday or third Wednesday it's gonna be there? Do we have some sort of, I mean, I know it's still early, but some sort of a thought about a schedule that we can let residents understand what their options are?
Yes, our current schedule is the first Thursday of the month will be in Vermontville. The second Thursday of the month will be in Eaton Rapids. And then we are looking for a third location, ideally in the Windsor Township area. In our analysis, we saw that as an area that also lacked recycling services. So on the third Thursday, we'll likely be somewhere in the Diamonddale area in Windsor Township. So we'll be operating every week, the trailer in a different community, in addition to additional events for
So,
parks and county events.
I like the fact it's regularly scheduled because people just, this week they can't, but next week they know they can, and so they want to develop some plans. What, is it ever a possibility to leave it unmanned? Or is that we're inviting weird junk to be thrown into it? What do you think?
Yes, we do have examples from other counties running and operating these trailers, and in discussions with the other counties, typically they recommend always having it staffed because there is a dumping problem in trash, because what we're looking at as county programs is source separating material, and eventually that'll get us top dollar for when we go to sell the materials. So we want to have the highest quality materials, which means it has to be staffed. And in our discussions with parks, cross-training some park staff would be very helpful too with operating the trailer for county.
Well, and you don't have a large department,
No.
So essentially, if you've got somebody at the location with the trailer, it pretty much takes up their whole day.
Right.
Standing around there waiting for people to show up and put stuff into it. And that becomes not a very efficient use of your staff's time. So that's probably a good opportunity for volunteers, maybe?
Yep, the department's looking at various options to address some of our labor issues. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, volunteers would be an excellent option.
all right.
Thank you.
Yes, Brian.
Concerning the mobile trailer, we've got 16 townships, and excluding those townships that do have a recycling center, why aren't we parking that trailer at the township hall one day a week each quarter?
We can look at developing that as part of our program, and as Commissioner Mulder just stated, we do have some staffing issues with the trailer, and as we develop, and if we can develop a volunteer workforce or something similar, the opportunities are endless for something like this trailer, so.
I would hope we could do that. I mean, you've got FFA, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and other nonprofit groups out there that I'm certain would probably take that on if we only invited them to.
Uh-huh,
So I would encourage you to do that. Thank you.
thank you.
Any other? Jim?
Hey, Jared. You mentioned the hub and spoke model that you've been talking to the local recycling centers, and what is the response that you've been getting from them? I know I've mentioned it to my residents, and they seem to be enthusiastic about it.
Meeting with our recycling centers, they were extremely happy and relieved because, as we all know, costs keep increasing, and so our grant program's capability of covering some of the recycling centers' cost and other expenses, labor and contracts, we have been aware for a few years that the program is reaching some of its limits. And so all of our recycling centers have been very open and welcoming in terms of having some changes, even open to the fact that in the future, the county may be taking over some of these centers. And so they were very receptive to all of our discussions, and they know that their communities want recycling, and they just, some of the townships and cities do not have the staff or the funding to create their own recycling centers. So they're very open and receptive to working with the county and developing countywide programs to aid in recycling efforts and resource recovery efforts going into the future. So we received a lot of good feedback from our meetings.
Okay, good.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hamlin Township has got their own recycling.
Yes.
Has the city or Eaton Rapids Township or Brookfield Township reached out to Hamlin to see if, they could partake in it? I mean,
I'm unsure, but I am looking forward to, in the next week or two, meeting with Eaton Rapids officials, and I could discuss with them working with Hamlin Township and seeing what the conversations have been with Hamlin Township.
when they have two big dumpsters out there.
Yeah.
And it's just, it seems like a waste to have another one right next door in the city of Eaton Rapids, when I'm sure there could be some agreement reached, and they could partake in that. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'll bring that up next time I meet with the Eaton Rapids officials. And I know for Eaton Rapids, our swag program used to service a center in Eaton Rapids that has been since closed. And Eaton Rapids also went through the Next Cycle program with the state of Michigan to develop a recycling center in the city. And they did not receive the grant funding that they were expecting to build their facilities. So now they're looking back at the county to see how the county can help with recycling services for their residents.
Okay, thank you. Yes?
Just brief, thank you, Madam Chair. Jared, you said you have already received all the swag applications. Did we get applications from all the same centers that we've received them for in the past?
Yep, all the same. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, Brian.
Is it possible to work with the court system and find those people that have to put in community service to fulfill whatever they've done, their punishment, and utilize those people to help with recycling?
Yes, we could work with the courts and see if that's a possibility. I know for our recycling events during the summer, we do have people who are required service as part of their sentencing participate in our event programs. So I don't see how it'd be an issue with the recycling trailer either.
That might solve some staffing issues for you.
Yep,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments? You have anything else for us?
Nope, that's all. I appreciate Brandy's report. I'm currently looking for a house in Eaton County, so. I may just buy some property now and build a smaller house while I work on a larger one, so, thank you. Yeah,
Also have-
Welcome to Eaton County.
yeah, thank you.
We also have the financial report in your packet, if you have questions. Nothing? Okay.
Parks, you're up.
Morning, everyone. So yeah, just a quick update on the stuff that Parks have been working on. So for this month, we're preparing for a lot of the fall festivals and events that are going on. We are hosting 3 events ourselves over the next several weeks. Our first being the annual 5K, the Timber Trail 5K event at Fitzgerald Park on the 12th. And then we have 2 new events. Also on the 12th, we have an ultrasonic event over at Lincoln Brick that Ethan can elaborate further details on if you guys have any questions about that. And then a pumpkin chuck event that we'll be having on November 2nd at Fitzgerald Park. That's just a fun way for the community to get rid of their pumpkins in a fun and exciting way. We have built a functional trebuchet. It does work. It launches the pumpkin about 95 to 120 feet. So it'll be a fun way, and we're going to transform our sledding hill into kind of like a smash zone. We've got a few companies that have given us some gift cards to give away for those that want to participate. We have the Jay's Dogs food truck will be coming. We're going to be giving away some cider and donuts. So it'll be just a fun little family festival. Hopefully, the intent of this growing to an annual event where we can maybe get some of the local schools to compete in a pumpkin chucking contest with their engineering departments or science departments. And other news, our maintenance crew, we've begun winterizing our parks, getting ready for the season. As we all know, we woke up to our first frost this morning, so it's going to be here sooner than we know. We are slowly starting to close our bathrooms. We are providing additional signage to educate the public on additional bathroom locations that may be, so there's no confusion on that if we're locked for the season. And we're also in the process of accepting our strategic plans for the 4 major parks. We just received the final proposals for Crandall and Fox at the end of September. And the end of this month, we will be doing Fitzgerald and Lincoln Brick. We have also are in the final phases of the staircase design plans for Fitzgerald Park to get that shovels in the ground this upcoming spring. And we also met with the City of Grand Ledge last week to discuss the new lease for Fitzgerald Park. The city has, after our discussion, they are going to kind of do a few revisions and send us an updated version of the lease for us to look over and agree upon. We had some questions about some of the parcels that we currently have park operations located in around that region, and to want to make sure legally everything is explained the right way so that if we do any capital improvement projects, we are covered on all ends. So that was very well, that discussion was very successful, and yeah, that's pretty much the gist of everything we got going on this month. I will now open it up to Ben and Ethan to kind of give a little deeper explanation as to their aspects of the department and what's been going on. So.
I would just add that at that meeting, Alex is going to start attending their Grand Ledge Parks and Rec meeting, so.
Yeah, that will be the 4th Thursday every month, so I'll start being our communication method, of hopefully sitting in just as a fly on the wall at those meetings, but if I need to get up and give them updates, I will, so.
It was a great meeting that we had, too, so.
It was good. So I'll start with Ben.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Not much news. We're really excited that, I was really excited to help build the trebuchet and fling some pumpkins. Other than that, you may have heard, we had a small ground fire at Lincoln Brick Park last Sunday. It doesn't appear to have been anything malicious. Possibly someone flicked a cigarette or an ember blew in from somewhere. Couple walking their dogs noticed the ground was smoking and called 911. So yeah, not a big deal. As far as everything else, this is not quite accurate on the house demo. The wellhead has been removed, so that project is complete now. It's a blank slate. We can figure out what we're gonna do there. And our boardwalks at Keeney, still waiting on Johnson Hill. They will provide a design quote, and then we would have to bid it out for construction. Whitcraft Boardwalks was $76,000 to do everything. They have a sort of a proprietary system that's already engineered, that they would just come in and install. Then waiting on quotes on the Nature Center at Fitzgerald Park demo.
Ryan?
Yep, Ben?
Yeah.
And I spoke with Alex about this. I think we should remove that boardwalk recommendation for Keeney. Is that 4 feet wide? Is that universal accessible compliant?
I believe it is for one way, but you couldn't pass each other.
Right.
Which is why
So
this.
Why would we
6 foot-
do a 4 foot wide boardwalk if we're gonna?
That was our cheapest possible option.
Well, we've got a pretty
So-
decent budget for parks. I don't think we should look at cheapest possible anymore. We should
Right.
look at making it compliant.
I more or less got that number, so if you asked me what the cheapest option was, I could tell you.
Yeah, I would rather, and the other
That's-
thing, and I spoke with Alex about this here a week or so ago, I don't think we should do anything down there at Keeney until we find the property owners for that concrete plant and have them fence that off.
Right.
So there's no access into our park
And
from
then,
that, and that, I think that would eliminate a lot of the vandalism.
Yeah, I'm sure some of you may have heard that there was a fall. A kid snuck into the Keeney area, into that concrete area, and they had to be rescued out. It broke his femur from a 30-foot fall. And Ben, Ethan, and myself actually went out there yesterday to explore the site to see how accessible it is. And it is simply, like, you get midway down our boardwalk, hopping onto the dry land, and it's been used so much that it looks like a design trail as to lead back there. So when we arrived, we first showed up because we got a call from one of the local fire department guys from Bellevue because someone cut our lock, so we had to go replace the lock first and foremost. And when we went there, he came across the street, talked to us. It's the access off Sand Road that we're near the Dyer Kill site, and he said that they've been trying to contact the property owners as well to see if they can just demolish that building, because we explored it, we found the location where that kid probably fell, and he's lucky he did not honestly die. There is broken glass, it is just a hazard. So I am in agreement with Mr. DeRocha of our first attempt of contacting the property owner to explain that, or trying to get them to put a fence up to block that off. And from a park standpoint, you know, our proposal of removing the boardwalk and making the new boardwalk location would help minimize that access from the park to that area, but we can also right now at least get in there, maybe fall a couple trees or make that trail inaccessible, or at least not convenient for the kids to get back there. I mean, unwanted activities are gonna happen. If they really want to, they'll find a way back there, but at least we can try our part in making it look like it's not a trail that they can go down, so. But I now have the gentleman's number from the fire department. He's gonna let me know what number he used to try to get in contact with that property owner, because they're having trouble too, getting a hold of them. But we're gonna look into see if we can somehow talk to them to first, tell them that they need to put a fence around there, because there's been multiple accidents and calls, so.
And also that 4 foot wide existing boardwalk, there's boards missing out of the walkway. I think we should just condemn that boardwalk and start the removal of it.
Yeah, that is our intent. Hopefully during the winter season, once it hardens and we can actually get out there with equipment to start removing that.
Okay, good.
Because it is, even when we make repairs, within 24, 48 hours, someone's back there destroying it again, so.
All right, thank you.
I'll let Ben continue now.
I think I was almost done. Yeah, I basically was done. Winterization, all that's left is the Fitzgerald bathrooms, which we're waiting until after our events are over with. Crandall Dock has been removed for the season. It was a pretty smooth process. That's about it. Any questions for me? All right.
Morning, everyone. Okay, so for Lincoln Brick Park, Capital Masonry has been delayed a little bit on getting out to the ruins and capping those, just because projects pile up, but he should be out there Thursday and Friday this week to get that project started. Then as far as like the Lincoln Brick Nature Center renovation goes, we are getting ready to announce a mural contest for one of our exhibits. So we'll send a description out to all the universities in the area, and then their art departments can have students submit drawings, and then we will vote on it, and hopefully in January, they can come out and paint for the exhibit. Programming-wise, County Quest is currently in progress, and we are getting a lot of active participation from the county on that regard. We had our campfire night on September 28th, and we had a lot more people show up than I was anticipating, to be honest. It was a great turnout. We had 20 to 25 participants. And then upcoming events, we've got Fall Fest happened in October 5th. We'll be at the Charlotte Downtown Trick or Treat on the 21st. Same for Grand Ledge on the 25th. And then our holiday parade on the 30th. Like Alex said, we've got 2 events coming up on the 12th and the Pumpkin Chuck on November 2nd. As far as winter goes, we will be collaborating with the Charlotte Library again, or the Grand Ledge Library with 2 upcoming events, and we're also expanding that to the Charlotte Library to kind of pull in more people from the county. And then later this week, we'll have a meeting with Nicole Selleck from Eaton Risa to kind of discuss developing a Talking is Teaching trail. So Talking is Teaching is a program through Eaton Risa and other Risa organizations to kind of get families and young kids talking about a whole scope of different topics. So the idea is that we would develop these signs that have like questions that parents can then ask their kids, and it just kind of gets a conversation going about nature and what we have in our parks in that regard. And then we will be opening up another storybook stroll at Fitzgerald Park through the Grand Ledge Library. That'll probably happen in the spring of 2025. But we're currently in talks right now and just trying to get some more sign holders for that trail. Then I met with Dan Zay from the State Resource Conservation Service to kind of discuss a prairie burn in the spring of 2025, and he is, he's the one who's kind of done this process for the past 20-some years, so he's going to be, as we get closer to that, he's going to be putting volunteers to kind of learn the process, so in the future we can take over doing that. And then Alex and I also met with James Gray. He's a forester from Natural Forestry, and we're in discussions about exploring opportunities for some ongoing collaboration with our parks and his organization to kind of create a more sustainable forestry management plan within some of our parks, such as Lincoln Brick and Fitzgerald Park. Right now, a lot of these areas are just kind of infested with, your small woody herbaceous invasive species, and we want to try to, restore that to a more natural space that looks like what it would have been prior to development. And that's pretty much all I have. Any questions? Yeah.
Yes, Blake.
Yeah, Ethan, I want to compliment you on your advertising and the POP stuff that you've got here. I think it's really well done. And I don't know which of you has put
That's
together
Clara.
some of this.
That's all Clara. Yeah.
Clara, nice job. These are really nice presentations. You could almost go out and have them printed, which you should do, of course, so we can hang them up locally, because this is good stuff. And I'm pretty impressed. Thank you.
Yeah, and as far as the pumpkin chuck goes, we've got those signs all over Eaton County now, so hopefully that'll draw more people in. Any other
I'm gonna go
questions?
see it.
Thank
Any
you.
questions?
This one here is beautiful.
I got
Thank you.
one more comment about the pumpkin chunk. I sent out an email to all the commissioners just saying, if you have any connections to local farmers that would like to donate extra pumpkins, because not only will people be able to bring their pumpkins in to get rid of, but we are trying to collect some donations for additional pumpkins and the thrill of getting to chuck them. So we are in talks with Kroger, Meyer, and a few of the other places. But if you, by any chance, know a personal connection with someone, a neighbor or something that wouldn't mind donating November 1st, we're willing to drive around picking them up. So,
Need a ton.
yeah, I'm sure we will. So, yeah, just to throw that out there, just reach out to me if you know somebody that we can call.
Alex, you said you're going to put those or chuck them onto the sledding hill there at Fitzgerald?
So the trebuchet will actually be set up on the baseball field that's out there. So pretty much where home plate is, where the trebuchet will be, and it will kind of launch it out into the field so we can have the spectators sitting behind the backstop for safety reasons. I did contact our insurance provider, and he said as long as no kids are trying to catch the pumpkins, we're good. So we will avoid that. But it is a pull release system that Ben has designed, so we can run the rope through the fence. We'll do the loading, and the kids will have the rope, and then they'll tug it, and they'll launch their own pumpkins. And then at the sledding hill, we have designed just little cutouts and stuff that if a pumpkin hits it, it'll smash, and so they can either roll their pumpkin down the hill or toss it in the trebuchet, so.
You do realize that come next spring, you're going to have a field full of pumpkins.
Well, hopefully, if they're making jack-o'-lanterns, they've already been seeded and pulled out. And we actually are in, Eagle is gonna run a little press release for us because we are going to be, we're not just throwing all the or the debris in the trash can. We are gonna do compost piles at Hammond Farms. We're gonna donate it also. We have a tarp. We're gonna load everything up on our trailer, bring it out there for them. And we also might put some out in the woods for the animals and stuff to eat too, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the long run, if we have a pumpkin patch, then we don't need donations. We can just harvest our own for this going forward, so win-win. Yeah. So is there any other further questions for Parks? Sorry, I know we've asked that a handful of times.
Thank you for your report.
Absolutely.
And again, the financial report is in the packet as well.
Okay. Committee appointments?
Want to go?
Sure. There is a list of committee appointments in the packet. Those are just the ones that are expiring. Several of those are through the Construction Code Planning and Zoning Department, so they are in the process of contacting all of those persons, seeing if they would like to be reappointed. And the other ones, everybody else is in the process of contacting as well. So we should have a good list next month of people who wish to be reappointed and any applications that we may have received in the clerk's office, the citizen involvement applications. Again, that was in the paper, it is on our website, and everyone's contacting people. So hopefully, we'll be in good shape next month to make all of those appointments.
Expiring appointment?
We're set with that one. Last is, there's no miscellaneous.
Okay. So we're down to limited public comments.
Yes?
Well, I have one. I don't know if you saw it on, it was on Channel 10 this morning, and I missed it. Is this, they was talking about 4-H. I don't know, did any of you see that on Channel 10 this morning? And I don't know, it was about a special celebration or something, but 4-H has always been near and dear to my heart, so I just had to bring it up. So be alert that something special, it's whether it was a number of years or what, but it's helped a lot of children. Thank you. Any others? If there's none else, we're adjourned.